We have most of our attendees with us at the moment, so I think we'll get started. My name is Laura O'Brien, and I'm the Marketing Manager for the College of Engineering and Architecture here in UCD, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. This is our 5th webinar I think we've had as part of our virtual Talk Graduate event series this year. You're very welcome to the event and for tuning in. The way this will work is this is kind of to highlight masters within our School of Mechanical and Materials Engineering, and we're going to focus in on the student experience and also the alumni journey. And we're joined today by one of our current students from our Masters of Engineering Management, Practicality, and we're also joined by 2 alumni from our Engineering Masters in Energy Systems, Hannah Riley, who is currently working for Statcraft. She graduated in 2021, and then Ed Healy, who's also with us, graduated in 2013 and is currently working as a technical program manager for Google. So they're going to share a little bit about their experience so far, what it was like studying with us here in UCD, and then for our alumni, their career journey so far. And for those who want to find out a little bit about the programs available within this particular school, we have a number available. We have 1- and 2-year master's programs. We have a 2- and 1-year master's program in material science and engineering. We have a 2-year program in mechanical engineering, a 2-year program in energy systems, a 2-year program in engineering with business. And we also have then a new 2-year program in manufacturing engineering, which is in collaboration with a number of partner institutions and also EIT manufacturing. If you want to find out a more general overview of these particular programs and also a little bit more about the school, last month we had a number of webinars that were given by our academic heads of school to give you this kind of information. And those webinars will be available along with the recording from today's session on our college YouTube channel. And I might ask my colleague Katie just to pop a link to the YouTube channel into the chat so you can grab it there and look at those webinars if you need at a later date. And you'll also find other information up on our YouTube channel, as things like testimonials and research videos and a wealth of other information that you can have a look at and help you find out more about our particular college and school here in UCD. Also, I just want to flag with you, you would have received a link to join the webinar today from myself, either today or Monday. As part of that email, you would have got a link to our event landing page. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, I would encourage you to do so. You'll find links to our program brochures, also a link to the UCD virtual campus tour, research impact case studies from our academics, and an alumni spotlight showcase as well. So there's lots of information on that particular landing page also. If you want to join in the conversation with us today, please do so. Ask myself or our speakers some questions if you have them. You can do that using the Q&A button, which is located in the control panel at the bottom of your screen. Type your questions in there as they come to you, and we'll get through as many as we can towards the end of the session. So that's enough for me. I think we'll get started. Our first speaker we have is Hannah Riley, who has, as I said, graduated from Energy Systems and is currently working for Statcraft. So Hannah, if you want to share your experience.
Hi, Laura. So thanks for that. So as Laura introduced, my name is Hannah Riley, and I graduated last year, 2021, with the Masters in Energy Systems Engineering. And prior to that, I did the undergrad in Mechanical Engineering, also in UCD. So to start off, I thought I could just tell you why I chose this Masters. So given that I had done my undergrad in mechanical engineering, there was a time where I kind of thought I might just continue on with that and go down that path. But looking at what was offered within the energy systems course, there's a huge range of modules and topics that are covered, rather than, you know, there's a couple of other courses out there like renewable energy engineering that only focus on renewables. So as soon as I started, really, this kind of all came to light, and we were covering things like power system operations. So looking at how power is divided along the grid and transmitted across the grid across the country. We were looking at a couple of more non-technical topics like climate change and the different directives and regulations that have been brought in the EU in particular over the last 10 years. We were looking at building energy systems. So we had a module on that where we had to model a building integrated PV system and a couple of different amendments to make a building more energy efficient. And we were looking at, there was a whole range of modules that I didn't really think that would be covered other places, and offered a huge range of opportunity. So alongside that also we had the professional work experience. So that starts in semester 2 of your first year So you have classes September to December, and then come you back in January, you're starting work. So I started my placement with Mainstream Renewable Power. They're a company based in Sandyford, and I was working with the procurement team. So a lot of the stuff I was working on was contracts with, you know, turbine suppliers and different contractors that were going to be building the wind parks that we were working on. But I think one thing that someone had told me before I started working was, no matter what team you're working with, always try and get a bit of experience with other teams that are also working in the company, because this is your only chance to get some experience before you kind of go out into the real world of working. So I got a chance to work alongside the energy analysis team, the central engineering team, the commercial team. And it was when I was with the central engineering team, I was asked if I wanted to carry out some type of research project. So what they were looking for help with was doing some research into this new topic that was relatively new still, floating solar. So a short synopsis for anyone that doesn't know, floating solar is putting solar panels on any kind of man-made lake, reservoir, hydro dam, even any body of water. And it's just normal solar panels placed on these floating structures. So I thought this would be interesting. We hadn't covered anything like this in our classes. We had obviously covered the technicalities behind solar and grid connections and everything, but this was kind of another step. So I worked on that. You know, this was 2020, so unfortunately we were working from home, but made do. And when we came back in September, then it was time to choose our thesis topics. So when we were looking at choosing thesis topics, we were given a list of, again, as wide as the range of modules that we were offered, the range of thesis topics were just as wide. So there was people in my class doing sustainable fuel options. There was people working on the commercial and cost benefit analysis of solar systems in residential areas and industrial areas. There was people working on hydrogen farms and how to produce hydrogen from wind farms. Another person was working on trying to limit constraints and clipping losses from semiconductors carrying power across the country. So if there's any type of specific interest that you come across within your time doing the masters, and this doesn't have to be, you know, when I started the masters, I knew relatively nothing, you know, about what we were going to be doing. I didn't have any type of background in energy systems. So the support you're offered from the get-go is huge, and the lecturers and the professors are always there to help in any way that they can. And what I really found when this kind of stood out was when we were working on our thesis. So everything was online. This was just last year, and there was never a time where anyone was uncontactable, or even to the point where I proposed my own thesis working on this floating solar idea, pairing it with a hydropower dam to create a hybrid system. This wasn't something, as I already said, that we had covered in classes, but all of the professors and all of the different lecturers were so quick to help, all trying, offering their support. Anything that they heard about this topic, they were kind of sending on to me going, have you seen this? This might be of interest. And even within a couple of my other classmates that were also doing their own thing, you know, everyone was out there to give you any kind of support you needed. And then as we kind of progressed through the year, everyone started looking at, okay, well, where are we going to be going once we're finished? You know, the year kind of progresses quite quickly. So it came around to about this time last year, and I'm pretty sure this was probably the final 2 weeks of submitting our thesis. So it was kind of go, go, go. And I did an interview with this company called Statcraft. So for those of you who don't know, Statcraft is Europe's largest renewable generator. They're based in Norway, but they have offices all around the world, one of which is in Cork. So I did an interview with them for their development team. So it's project management roles. So we're looking at solar projects in particular. and solar projects in Ireland developing. So we're working with the technical team, working with the grid team, working with planning boards, and working with landowners, and bringing it all together to create these solar farms. So again, it's relatively new in Ireland. There's not really any solar farms up and operating yet. So working with different parties and boards across the country is all relatively new to them as well. And I remember on my first day at work, there was another guy starting the same day as me, completely different team, a couple of years older, completely different background in where the jobs he had just come from. But he had also done the Masters in Energy Systems Engineering with UCD. So instantly there was this kind of connection that we were talking about the same classes that we had, the different, who we had teaching our classes, the different professors and lecturers we had. And the one thing that had both stood out to us both was, first of all, how much you can learn about these topics, that there's nothing left out. You kind of have this blanket across everything, really, that someone brings up some type of topic and you can go, oh, I actually learned a little bit about that. And, you know, maybe you have to go and do your own research if you're more interested in it at a later stage. But everything is introduced to you, which I think is so important. And the other thing that had stood out was the support that we would always get from our lecturers, and how open they were to helping in any way they could. And, you know, even in classes, it's a nice size class. It was about 20 or 30 people in my class. So they know you, and having that connection and having that relationship with your professors and lecturers is really, really, really beneficial. So I think that stands alone, that the first day I started work, there was someone else that had done the same class as me. And it was, as I went through, then as I started going through the weeks and the months, I realized how many other people there were. And it's a relatively new course, I think maybe in the last 10, 15 years, but there's a huge number of people that have come out of this course and are working in all different industries. It's not just in renewables. So some of my classmates are working in consultancy firms or building PV firms. And it's just amazing to see that we've all come into this one path. People coming in from mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. There's people coming in that hadn't studied in UCD, and they were coming from, you know, there was people coming in from university in Australia and all of these other places that had studied engineering across all levels. But all of us had the same idea that we wanted to get as much out of this as we could. And they certainly will give you anything that you're looking for. And so much is covered in this course. I couldn't have recommended it more. And I think one of the things that is always asked, you know, when you're talking to people that are looking about what they want to do and trying to figure out what course they want to do, where they want to go, a big question is always, would you do it again? And I think without a doubt that I would have definitely chosen the same path I had gone down. I know Laura had said, you know, a little bit about our career progression so far. So that's not, I'm still relatively new. I'm not even a year in, so I won't talk about that too much. But the quality of academics and the teaching that we got from this master's, I think it's second to none.
Great, thanks so much, Hannah. I think that was really inspiring. And I think it's great to hear that this particular course is very multidisciplinary. You're getting people from all different backgrounds, and it can lead you into a lot of different avenues. And also the fact that the advice for people tuning in to work in other teams to explore their options, and I think that's great for people to hear about. So thank you very much for sharing your experience.
Thank you very much.
Great. So the next speaker that we have up is one of our current students. He is studying, I think it's one of the masters I missed out at the start, so apologies. He's studying our engineering management course. So Kartikeya is going to give a little bit of insight into his experience so far.
Sure. Thank you so much. I would like to share the screen and just quickly provide. I just created a brief presentation, so I'll share. So I guess, is it visible?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll start with a bit about background about myself. So I did my bachelor's in computer science in 2018, and afterwards I worked with a startup in India itself as an AI developer. And last year in 2021, I came to Ireland and UCD to do my engineering management course. So why did I choose UCD? So like when I was doing my research, like where should I go to do my master's? So I found that the UCD is like one of the renowned and one of the oldest universities in Ireland, and it attracts all the students from all over the world. So basically, you actually get a global exposure, like communicating with different people coming from different background and culture. Like when I was searching for the course, so I found the engineering management, which was best suited for me because I was looking for something in engineering, and like I wanted to progress in my career in a management domain. So that's why like it was the best combination of engineering and management for me. When I looked through the course modules, like which I'll study, so they were very well designed and they were very like kind of up to date with the current standards. And also like when I searched about like what are the companies there are in Ireland, so like I found that the Ireland is a hub for like all the technical and non-technical companies. So all the basic, the major companies, the big MNCs, they all have their headquarters in Ireland. When I arrived in UCD, so I was also like nervous and kind of like any other student who was coming from a different country or a place. But it was a warm welcome given at the UCD. Like when I came here, I didn't feel that I've come to a UCD, like a university, but it was more of a carnival kind of a thing. Like there were tents all over the place, like there were like freebies given to the incoming students, and there were college tours happening all around the college campus, like introducing the different buildings and showing up the campus. So it was kind of a fun environment, and there were the events organized by the student union and different clubs and societies. uh, when I came to UCD, I also got the opportunity to apply for the U21 Global Citizen Program. So it's a kind of a short 14 days internship, but the UCD is a part of that organization. So I was able to apply for that, and I got the opportunity to do that internship. Um, Related to the fun at UCD, like you can get society for every interest of yours. So entrepreneurship, food, travel, Harry Potter, dance, anything you can think of, you'll get a society for that. So you will be more involved with the university and with the culture. The events are organized every week. And also the best thing, like we have a UCD clubhouse, so we have a personal bar on campus. So whenever you feel hectic or you are overstressed, you can just go down there and have a beer. Coming to the faculties and the course modules, so I would say the professors and the faculties, they understand the students' emotions. So in the initial week, you won't get any assignment or any work to do. Like they'll just interact with you and get to know you. And they also like they don't focus on the formulas or the tests. So they focus more on the knowledge and the way of learning. So they want that you understand the process, you understand the technology, the theories, and whatever they are teaching you. Like uh, I remember in last semester I had one exam, and the professor in class told us that like he doesn't want us to remember any formula. Like all the formulas which was required for the calculation were given in the test paper itself. So he wanted to understand, do we really know how should we apply those formulas? Because in the industry also, when you go out for a job or anything, you can get formulas from the Google. So everybody does that. So you don't need to remember anything. So that's the best part. The other thing is that the faculties focus on the group assignments and individual assignments rather than the written exam. So last semester and this semester also, like I have only one exam, the written exam out of 5 modules. So that is very like good thing. The I am given the group assignments and individual assignments, which help me to apply the theory and whatever the knowledge I'm acquiring in those modules to apply those things in the real world case scenario. So I've been given case studies and like the different projects on which I have to work and apply those terms. And they are always supported. So I can surely say that like you can talk to any professor, any faculty at any given time. You can talk to them any problems. So if you have any deadline issue, so if you're not able to complete your assignment, you can just ask for the deadline extension and that will be provided to you. Last semester, I had some conflict in a group, like when I was working in a group project, but when we, like as a group, we went to the professor for some help. So he understood our problem and kind of helped us to resolve that group conflict. And like we came out as a better team. And so you also have the flexibility to take any elective, I guess. So this semester I had one elective subject out of 5. So 3 options were given to me by my program coordinator, but I wanted to do something related to the business kind of thing. So that's why I searched about all the modules which are available in other department also. And I took the business plan module in chemical department. Whereas I'm from the mechanical department. So like when I went to my program coordinator that I want to take this module and I want to study this. So he was very helpful. He connected me with the other professor also. And I was able to take that module. And I like, if you want to like take any other module, like audit any other thing, if you want to learn anything, you can audit any module according to your choice. So like me, I'm taking data analytics module in computer science department. Again, that's a different department from mine. The other facilities and services which I can talk about is the career service, which is very helpful. So it's a well-designed platform with a lot of tools related to your CV, your resume, cover letter, interviews. So it's very helpful for the students who are looking for the job. And there are career counselors available, so you can just book an appointment and go to them and talk about about your resume, about your CV, about your interviews. So I remember like in last semester, I booked a meeting with a career counselor. So I went there and I showed my resume to him and also the job description for which I was applying for. And the career counselor helped me to frame my resume according to the job description and also provided other tips about how should I do that for the other jobs also. So they are also very active on Instagram and Twitter handles. So you will get like the job opportunities daily. So I literally get daily notifications there about the career facilities on the Instagram and Twitter. And another facility which I like the most is the library. So it's open 7 days till 11 p.m. So if you want any peaceful environment to work upon your assignment on your job or any other thing, you can just go there, set. So that's a very like the essential facility, and that is very good, like provided by the UCD. So at the end, like I can say that at UCD, help is provided to those who ask for it. And I generally like whenever I asked for any kind of help, I was provided that.
Great, thanks so much, Kartikeya. That's a really comprehensive kind of journey through your experience of studying with us. We appreciate you sharing that experience. We're really happy that you received a warm welcome for us. And that you've made time to have fun and join some of the societies and use the facilities that are available at UCD. So thank you for sharing your experience. Our next speaker that we have up is Ed Healy. As I said at the start, he is a graduate from our Energy Systems Masters as well. He's currently working with Google as a technical program manager. So Ed, if you want to share a bit about your career journey and your experience.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that intro. So yeah, I suppose there's a few differences because I graduated the master's back in 2013. So there has been differences just listening to what Hannah mentioned, that there are differences between what I went through and what obviously the program is shaped up now. So I think it's worthwhile to kind of talk about the post graduation, considering it's not really as applicable, and Hannah obviously gave a lot more in depth just because it's more recent to her. But I think one of the primary reasons to consider in the first place that I considered the Energy Systems Masters was during the mechanical undergraduate, the energy related topics or courses were more appealing to me. I had more interest in them. And I could have continued with the 5-year master's in mechanical engineering because I entered in under under mechanical, and I could have swapped to that as the 3 and 2 year, but I wanted to be more a kind of a narrower scope in terms of energy efficiency, renewable energies, versus so more kind of narrow and deep understanding on that topic versus the broad and kind of shallow to a point, because the mechanical engineering it covers a huge range of topics. So that was the primary driver to consider it. But I think a lot of the benefits that I can carry forward through to industry was obviously the kind of technical foundations that the courses provided that I directly used in straight away following following graduation and into my first role, and continue to use it to this day. So that kind of grounding was critical. The ability to it's kind of thriving in ambiguity. So a lot of the times the things are not as well defined as they could be, and often that leads to a board of works, or missing scopes, or missing deadlines. And a lot of the benefits of the masters was it wasn't ill defined, but what it made you do is really consider what the end result was. So the thesis that I did for it was the kind of third semester of the summer, that was a lot of kind of self-starter work, and that really led to kind of my ability to develop my kind of project management skills while with an ambiguous to an extent ambiguous scope. So, and that's, I mean, I do that every day, fortunately or unfortunately, but that's definitely something that was a really good benefit, kind of a side benefit as such, because you can't really teach that necessarily. Learning to be adaptable. So again, I'm working as a technical program manager within the Google data center organization here, and it's being adaptable, because I didn't learn about data centers during university, but the grounding, the kind of technical grounding and the systems used are the same, and just being adaptable to apply them at different industries. Because I have worked in kind of residential schemes, in commercial schemes, and now in kind of mission critical facilities in data centers, and it's understanding and being able to apply the same kind of fundamentals, but apply them in a very different sense, and also to different codes, because I'm working across the EMEA region, and it's all very, very different, and it's being adaptable to implement and execute projects with varying degrees of kind of regulatory oversight, and managing that change. So it was very, very beneficial. And yeah, there's a lot of the kind of soft skills, and I know kind of what is a soft skill, but being able to communicate effectively, and then through different mediums. So like I know the other panelists have mentioned that the communication with the lecturers and even TAs, that was just such a good intro to how you actually try and get benefit from the people that are there to support you, because you're always going to have support from relevant people, but it's being able to leverage that support to unblock yourself, or to get more support as needed, because there's never a time where you're executing entirely siloed. It just doesn't happen. There's never a day where you're not reliant on other people, and other people aren't reliant on you. So communication is a massive part of industry, and something that it's very difficult to teach. Again, it's something that you just kind of have to learn by doing. And I remember the masters kind of gave me a much more focused methodology and approach to that one as well. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of had a varied. I've graduated back in 2013, and quite varied, and was able to travel with work, and relocated to London for a few years. So it has given me very good ability to good opportunities to search, and I think, considering, and I know, keeping in touch with others, either from the kind of mechanical undergrad or the energy systems masters, the range of industry that the classes have, or the alumni have, is just incredible. So it's the opposite of pigeonholing. The reach is just incredible. and it just goes to show the value of the well, the value and the range itself of the course that is broadly applicable. So again, it's more focused on that narrower scope than, let's say, the mechanical undergrad or masters, but it's still very broad. So depending on your interest, and the interest can change whether during your university days or post graduation during your work career. So your industries can change, your interests can change, your industries can change, and again, it goes back to being adaptable. That you're not just set. Just the first job you ever take is not where you're going to end up, whether it's the same employer or even the same industry. So the adaptability is key again on that one. But yeah, that's my experience. Thanks.
And thank you so much, Ed, for sharing your experience with us. And I think it is good for people who are looking at master's options and our attendees listening today that engineering masters, regardless of what discipline you do it in, means you don't have to be pigeonholed, and there's plenty of options and scope and reach to do other career opportunities as well, and change and pivot as you progress in your career and move up the ladder. So I think that's really great. So thank you to all our speakers for giving us just a peek inside their world. And we have some time for some questions now. So I'll just reiterate, I said at the start, if you do have questions for myself or our speakers, please type them in using the Q&A button, which is located in the control panel at the bottom of your screen. We'll get through as many as we can in the time that we have left. But I think I have a couple, if you don't mind me posing them to you while we get our attendees joining us for questions. Kartikeya, I'll go to you first. Just as a current student, you mentioned a little bit about obviously your warm welcome to UCD, and you're an international student, you come from India. Do you have any advice for other international students who are potentially looking at UCD and Ireland as an option to come, and maybe some things that you wish you knew before you came?
Coming from India, of course, it was kind of a cultural shock in some ways. So I would say that don't be afraid of that, but kind of prepared that, okay, these are some things I do differently, or these are the things in my culture which happens differently, but if I go there, what things will change. So kind of do a bit of a research on that, but don't be afraid, because it's same for all the other students also. So it's not like you are the only one who will be new there, or who is coming from a different background. So all are different background, all are coming from different background, all are scared. So all are going through the same feeling. So it's kind of the same thing for that. So that's kind of my advice, because that's what, when I did, I also attended the few same seminars before coming to the UCD, and that was kind of very helpful. I attended kind of a culture background which was given by the UCD itself. So kind of these seminars are very helpful. So I would say that attend all these seminars. So because these give you a broader picture of what's happening at the UCD and what you might experience.
Great, I think that's really useful. Thank you for sharing that. Obviously, all of our two-year master's programs as part of the curriculum has a work placement incorporated in them. But Kartikeya, you also mentioned, even though you're on a one-year program, that you had an opportunity to do a short internship placement. If you maybe wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So in my third semester, because of my one-year program, I have 3 semesters, and in my third semester, in the coming semester, I will have the opportunity to work with a different company. So it's kind of a project-based internship. So my program coordinator is communicating with the different companies here in Ireland, so all the big MNCs, and the companies will provide the problem statements related to different domains like manufacturing or operations, marketing. So, and the students will pick up those problem statements based upon the interest, and we will be working with those companies. So it's kind of an internship itself.
Kind of project-based, that's great.
Yeah.
And then Kartikeya, just sticking with you, there was someone asking how they could potentially, they're looking at the engineering management masters, how they could prepare course-wise before they actually start. Is there any advice you could give them?
Yeah, so I had the same question. So to be honest, when I came here also, in the initial week, so it was kind of a free, because we were not getting any assignments or anything. So I was kind of free. So I was also worried, how should I prepare, because it's only a one-year program. So I should start preparing now itself. and I should look different modules I should start studying. So, and then I went to my program coordinator and I explained him all the like the feelings and told him like what I was feeling. So he gave me a very good like the perspective, and he explained me how things work here. So he supported me, and he said like there is no need to worry, and like there is no need to just jump upon things, because these are new modules which we will be studying upon. So like according to my background also from computer science, I never studied marketing or operations or supply chain, these kind of modules. So I would say like don't jump upon any of these things. Like you don't have to do any kind of preparations. Like the all the modules will be well taught in the classroom itself. So I would say like I didn't feel like doing any kind of preparation which is needed. So just come here, enjoy, like start your life at UCD, and like after 1 or 2 weeks, like you will get involved yourself in the modules.
Great. So you'll have
Yeah.
time to settle in, and
Yeah,
you'll get all the
definitely.
support necessary when you come into the course, which is great.
Yeah.
There was someone asking about the possibility of doing our Master's in Mechanical Engineering as a 1-year program. And unfortunately, no, it is a 2-year program. And the main reason it's a 2-year program because that internship is embedded as part of the curriculum. So it's a 6 to 8 month internship as part of the course. Now we do have what's called recognition of prior learning. So you can apply for that, so you're not repeating things that you potentially did as part of your Master's. So I might ask my colleague Katie if she can pop up a link to our page on recognition of prior learning that we have on our website, and for that particular person they can reach out to us directly via email as well to get some more advice on that. But I suppose you were also asking about the advantages of doing a master's degree. So Ed, I might go to you if you could summarize possibly as far as your career. Has the master's helped you along your career journey? If you hadn't done the master's, do you think you'd be as far along in this moment of time?
It's very hard to say. I mean, it's this kind of sentiment that yes, it did help. And again, it's not necessarily having another year plus the thesis of learning more fundamentals. I think it's more of a rounding, a well-rounded kind of year that I would have missed out of if I just went straight into industry after the 4 years. So I do believe it kind of makes me feel good that I didn't waste a year as well by looking for something that wasn't necessary. So I do think it definitely was useful. And again, I would say I'm using a lot more of what I learned within that year than maybe for the 4 years previous. So again, I've always been in and around the same kind of industry, but using very different ways. And it's been, I'm drawing on more of the experience I've gotten from the masters. So definitely, I think it was valuable. But again, everybody else has a different journey post graduation. So it's not always the same for everybody, but I can only speak to me.
Great, yeah, and I think also now you're currently working for one of the large multinationals as well. Do you think the landscape as far as Ireland, is there good job opportunities for students graduating with a master's?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, depending on like for Google, it is very dependent on what type of role you have within Google. So there's, I mean, I think it's 15,000 people in Ireland directly or indirectly employed by them. So the range of roles is quite vast, and you talk to some people and you have no idea what they do. But it definitely does help, and it's definitely considered quite, because like I'll do some interviewing as part of my role here, and you do see a lot of not that it's a tick box exercise that you need a master's by any stretch, but a lot of the CVs that I will see do include a master's or multiple master's posts. So it's not necessarily a prerequisite to even be interviewed. Like it's screened out if you don't have a master's by any sense. But there seems to be more and more candidates being put forward with masters, and again, it's not something that should be pursued only for a job. There has to be of interest for that, but it definitely is maybe indirectly considered, certainly.
Yeah, so if you're competing for a job potentially with a lot of people who have a master's and you don't, you have to be able to show something else at the side where the master's might give you a leg up potentially. But as you said, it should come down to interest in what you're genuinely wanting to do as a career. I think that's all the open questions we had. Katie, I might just go to you real quick while we have a couple of minutes left, if there's any private messages that came in.
Yeah, just one. Someone had picked up that the fundamentals of the program had been mentioned, and they were just wondering from either Ed or Kartikeya, how practical are either of the programs, you know, or is it all kind of more traditional, or how much, I suppose, teamwork, hands-on, project lab work do you get to participate in?
Yeah, so I'll take that. Like all the modules like which I've studied so far, like in the last semester and in the current semester also, I would say that all the modules are up to date according to the industry standards. So right now also in some of my modules, we are using softwares which are used by the other companies outside in the real world case scenario. Last semester also, like I can give an example in supply chain itself. So usually like in supply chain, you have to manage a network of operations for a company. So for that also, like our professor gave us a game, kind of a simulation game in which we had to manage a company's operations. So in overall, I would say that all the professors are very well updated with what's going outside the university, with like what softwares are being used by the companies and what are the trends which are happening outside the universities. So I won't say that they are any traditional or they are any outdated modules or courses. They are very well designed and informed.
Great, and I think it's good to highlight because Hannah was talking about she's a more recent graduate, and Ed mentioned that maybe content of the course has changed since he was done it. So that just reflects that the content of the courses does change and changes based on what's going on in industry and what's needed at the time, which is good for our attendees to know. So I think that's come to the end of our webinar today. Thank you so much for our attendees for tuning in, for our speakers for sharing their experiences so far, and for Katie for helping us with the Q&A and the chat. I might ask Katie just as a final thing to pop up my email address and her email address in the chat. If you have any questions after the event today, or if you're making an application and need some support, or you have any questions, you can reach out to us after the event today. And as I said, check out our YouTube channel as well for the recording if you arrived a little bit late. That'll be up there early next week. But that's all from us, and have a great rest of your day.